Nowadays, global warming and growing anthropization threaten biodiversity. Indeed, the number of threatened species has increased since industrialization and mechanization. Today, 36% of the species studied by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature are threatened, and one species disappears every 20 minutes in the world. The Hermann tortoise is one of them. It's a protected French species, emblematic of the Var and also present in Corsica. It is the only terrestrial tortoise in France. Just like other reptiles, its body temperature varies with the outside temperature. The tortoise needs to be exposed to the sun to regulate its temperature and ensure its vital functions. But it also needs vegetation like the scrub present in the south of France to feed and mate.
The Hermann tortoise is an emblematic species of the Var region. But despite its status as an emblematic species in the Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur region in Marseille, opinions differ.
Non, du tout. Qu'est-ce que c'est
D'accord.
Oui, en Corse.
Non.
Pas du tout.
Ah oui, la tortue, mais d'Hermann, non du tout.
Non.
De vue, oui. De nom, non.
Ah non.
Je pense que oui, c'est des tortues de cette taille à peu près.
People's ignorance leads to excesses that threaten the Hermann tortoise. Some people involved in Hermann tortoise conservation can talk about these threats.
Le premier danger sont les prélèvements en milieu naturel.
The Hermann tortoise is under many threats. First, catching wild tortoises.
Donc dans l'inconscient des gens,
For a majority of people, it's a pet and not a wild animal.
Oh, she will be fine in a garden with salad and carrots.
La pression urbanistique et touristique, mais aussi...
They are impacted by urban pressure and tourism, but also agricultural clearings to cultivate vines.
Voilà. D'autres menaces pèsent, mais on les considère...
In the Var, the forest is taking more and more space. As a consequence, the Hermann tortoise likes space to hide, lay eggs and get warmer.
Ensuite, vous avez un troisième danger qui est...
Then, diseases carried by imported populations or illegal breeding. Thirdly, wild tortoises can hybridize with imported individuals. This causes a genetic reduction of wild populations.
In order to balance these threats, laws exist and permit to create a conservation status.
La tortue Hermann est une espèce qui est protégée.
The Hermann tortoise is a protected species at the international, European and national levels. At the international level, it's protected by the Washington Convention that concerns the preservation and the trade of endangered species. It's also protected at the European level with the Berne Convention, which is about wildlife and natural environment preservation in Europe.
Donc on a des lois en France en fait.
This convention has been transcribed to French law in the Environment Code. And to protect the Hermann tortoise, a national nature reserve has been set up. If you want a Hermann tortoise, you have to respect the law. The difference between breeding a tortoise and owning one as a pet is the number of specimens. When somebody owns up to 6 tortoises, tortoises are considered as pets. We need to insert a ship into tortoises and get an authorization from the prefect. If somebody has more than 6 tortoises, it's considered as a breeding institution.
Je sais pas, faut la rendre.
Je sais pas, peine de prison après le...
Oh, au moins toute une vie.
I think you have to pay money or maybe go to jail.
Ça peut aller jusqu'à 1 an d'emprisonnement.
We can't catch a wild tortoise. It's a crime and we can spend 1 year in jail and pay 15,000 euros.
Quand même.
Prison ferme, c'est peut-être un peu... mais ouais, il faut les protéger. Je sais pas assez.
It's a lot of money. Yeah.
In spite of these laws, there are more tortoises in captivity than wild ones. Let's go to Marie Louise's house. She's 91 and has around 20 tortoises between a few days old to over 30 years old. Her backyard is dedicated to tortoises, and a large part of them are Hermann's tortoises.
I got my first tortoise in 1978. When I moved here, the land was abandoned and I found a tortoise. We wanted to get more. We bought some at Marseille's flea market. Then they laid eggs. I had no idea of how it worked. One day, we saw small baby tortoises coming out of these eggs. I gave away a lot of tortoises, but only to people I knew. I refused to give tortoises to people that would murder them. I feed them with salad, fruits, melon, carrots, apples and pears. They like fresh fruits and vegetables. When there is a fence, they dig the earth and manage to escape. So, we arrange the garden so they don't escape. Some went under the gate and I never found them again. That's all walled up, so they can't get out.
Even if some people want to protect tortoises, traffic continues.
Donc nous faisons pas mal d'investigations, soit sur
The
Internet.
Hunting and Wildlife National Agency is in charge of detention and traffic controls in France. In 2014, for example, we led a big operation in Marseille with 50 policemen. We seized around 100 wild animals from poaching, including 20 tortoises.
If you still want to have a Hermann tortoise, some legal establishments exist.
My establishment exclusively breeds Hermann tortoises. The individuals here were exclusively born in captivity, from parents also born in captivity. My establishment is legal, because I have all the official documents delivered by the prefect. A lot of people contact us, and there are more requests than offers. People assail us because they are more and more aware of the protection of endangered species and compliance with existing laws.
The fight against illegal breeding structure and traffic with protected species is important for Hermann tortoise protection. Conserving and protecting its natural habitats are essential.
La tortue d'Hermann bénéficie depuis
For 5 years, a national action plan has been dedicated to the Hermann tortoise. In this context, the Subtom Association and its partners are participating in a European program called Life Plus. Some actions are led by the association directly on population. They are experimenting to translocate rehabilitated tortoises.
D'individus dans la nature.
Translocation is moving a species from a place to another. Transmitter-equipped tortoises are tracked thanks to an antenna linked to a receptor. It's called radio tracking. When the tortoise is found, some microhabitat environmental variables are written, like temperature or humidity.
If this experimentation works and tortoises adapt to their environment, in the future, other rehabilitated tortoises could be translocated.
And because making people aware is extremely important for Hermann tortoise protection, the Subtom raises public awareness by organizing some operations with children and events like the Fête de la Science.
Alors le message, arrêtez de vouloir...
For people that don't have a tortoise, tortoises are not pets. Stop adopting them. Don't catch them. For people that have tortoises at home, stop breeding them, and more importantly, don't release them into the wild. Live with them until you die. Maybe in 100 years' time, the situation will be better.
Surtout ne pas toucher la tortue, il faut la laisser là.
Don't touch tortoises, they are wild animals and they should remain wild.
The tortoise is one of the oldest vertebrates on the planet. It survived through the ages, but with the arrival of man, it has become a threatened species. It's time to become aware of the threats and to counter them, because the Hermann's tortoise won't survive much longer. Maybe one day the tortoise won't be an endangered species anymore. The future of the Hermann's tortoise is still uncertain. Don't contribute to its loss.